Novak Djokovic cruising through the Wimbledon draw. No signs of his injury causing him problems as he takes out Holger Rune in straight sets. And on the women's side, Jelena Rybakina. She's surely the favourite to take the title right now. But on this episode, we've got a special guest who's going to take us through all the action.
And that's right, we have Gill joining us this evening. How you doing?
Hello, Ben and JG. Great to be back. I'm doing great.
Or maybe I should have said this. Good night, Gill Maybe that would have been a better intro. But yeah, what a night of tennis yet again. We are on day 8. We're flying through it. And I've got to start by saying one thing. I totally overestimated Holger Rune at Wimbledon. I thought tonight, as much as Djokovic was good, I think Holger Rune was really poor. I didn't think he was at the level. He did not produce a good match. He wasn't aggressive enough. He seemed timid. The first set was lost. I don't think anything to do with his tennis. It's just the occasion of being there on centre court against Novak Djokovic with the closed roof. All become too much for him. He grew into the match slightly, but Djokovic wasn't really making too many mistakes. And of course, let's start with the incident of what was happening, because it seemed like he was getting a bit of back and forth with the crowd. Was he being booed?
No, he wasn't being booed. It was Rune fans saying Rue after Rune won the points. And the crazy thing is, this happened in 2021. And somebody needs to ask Novak after the match in his press conference if he remembers that. But Djokovic he said after the match, like, he thinks that they're using the whole Rue thing as an excuse to boo. But do you know why that doesn't make any sense? Because why would they boo after the person they're rooting for wins a point? That wouldn't make any sense.
I mean, Kyrgios come out on court and he was saying that he doesn't understand what Djokovic was saying. He generally thought it was Rune.
I know where Djokovic is coming from, and they were saying that it's really like, this is deep within him now, that this feeling that they're saying Rune to cheer on Rune, but they're obviously cheering him on when he wins a point against Djokovic. So it's like a double entendre that they get to go, Rue. Like, so if anything happens that Djokovic does, they're cheering on Rune, but it sounds like a boo at the same time. So they get both. So he's like, I know what you're doing. I'm smarter than all of you. And look how well I've performed regardless.
Yeah, but Ben, he's not booing. That's the point.
In fairness, when Sue Barker came out to interview Andy Murray, I was watching with my girlfriend, and she's like, why are they booing? And I was like, Sue. Like, I don't know. You just... It's a thing, you know? So I was surprised. Here's my take on this. When Novak gets upset about something like this, it helps him compete. It helps him perform. So there's no downside for Djokovic getting upset about it, other than it encourages the people who are doing it to do it more. So if Djokovic wanted it to settle down, he did the opposite of what he should have done, which is ignore it, and then it's more likely to settle down. Instead, he definitely let it show that it was getting to him in some way, like it was bothering him. But he uses that effect that, oh, this is bothering me. He uses it as fuel. So it's not hard for him to get like pissed off about something on the court by design. It helps. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. In terms of his performance, would you say this was his best performance, or is it difficult to really look too much into it? Because Rune, for me, was a subpar. It was below a 5 out of 10 performance from him.
Fair enough. I thought Djokovic was killer offensively. I would definitely agree that Holger was allowing Djokovic to attack him quite easily. Yep. I think he was getting pushed back off the baseline with Djokovic's down the line ground strokes, and there weren't that many neutralizing returns from Holger, which is something I expected coming into the match. But the biggest thing is, like, Rune's rally ball is not applying any pressure. there's just not much on it. I'm not seeing, like, he hits a lot of balls and it's like, well, where's the quality in this rally ball? Does it have depth? Does it have speed? Does it have width? Does it have height in some way? Like, is it staying low? Is it spinny so it jumps up high? And oftentimes I'm looking at his rally ball and it's like, it's got nothing. And that's where Novak is coming in and attacking. But I do think Djokovic was insanely clinical with his approach shots and his volleys and his serving. And that's ultimately why, I don't know if you guys know this, but I went ahead and picked him to win the title, despite assuming that the movement wasn't going to be great, because I feel like grass court tennis, this is about skillfulness. This is about attacking. And that's what Djokovic has been showing in his last couple matches.
Out of interest, would you have still picked him to win the title if he was on, say, the other side of the draw, playing, say, an Alcaraz in a semi and then potentially a Sinner in the final? Do you think the draw played a big impact into you picking him winning, if you're being honest?
Yeah. No, I think the draw did play a big impact. I had a lot of faith in him coming in, but there's definitely part of me that's thinking, oh man, Sinner, Alcaraz, which way do I go here? And it's so much easier to just say, okay, Djokovic, I do think he's going to perform well. I'm not too worried about the knee. I think he'll be in the final. I'll go ahead and pick him to win. And then let's see, once we get to that Sunday, I still think if Novak doesn't show that he can be athletic around the court and defend a little bit, I can't see myself sticking with him over Sinner unless Novak starts to show a little bit of athleticism and scrambling ability.
He did today. I thought he showed a bit of athletic on the stretch on the backhand side. I thought he played some really good shots on the slide as well. I know that Kyrgios kept on mentioning how difficult that is to do, especially when you've got a bad knee, and then he was corrected saying it's the other knee. But yeah, regardless of that, I thought coming into this match, this wasn't going to be that difficult for Djokovic. I expected him to beat Rune because of grass court pedigree. And like you said, it's a tactical battle on the grass. And I don't think Rune, as top player that he is, you can only win so many matches on grass. And you can beat all of these other guys he's beaten on the route to face someone like a Djokovic. But it's just levels on grass. And Djokovic is just so much better on the surface than Holger Rune. He doesn't have the tactical mind, I don't think, to beat someone like a Novak Djokovic yet on this surface.
And sorry, Gill. Just quickly, speaking about Djokovic, I want to mention one of our patrons, Gary, because he put some good comments in on the last episode. And I know I've probably rattled and upset a few of the Djokovic fans. I think it's sometimes easy to do, but with Gary particularly what he said, I do feel like I need to take it back slightly. I think Djokovic, I am underplaying his chances. Maybe I'm doing it just to go against Ben slightly as one element. But what I saw today from him, with the draw, the way it's opened up now and the players who are left, it does look like a really good chance for him to get to a final. I'll be surprised if from this position he doesn't make the final. I think he's got a good head-to-head record against everyone left in the draw. He's got a good head-to-head against everyone, but particularly the likes of a Massetti on a grass, or say a Taylor Fritz, who I think he's beaten every single time he's played him. So we'll see what happens with that. But I just want to put my hands up and say maybe I have underestimated him massively. And I know, Gill, you didn't. So what was you going to say?
It's gone, unfortunately.
Well, I was speaking about how Holger Rune just isn't tactically astute enough to take on someone like Djokovic.
Thank you, Ben. Right. Yeah, I don't know what Rune's play style is anymore. I used to feel like I knew, and now I'm not sure I'm not sure what he's looking to do. And today, again, in rally, I didn't see repeatable patterns. And ultimately what I'm not seeing is someone who is like reading the incoming ball and making really good decisions about what kind of shot to play, stroke in and stroke out. So I see, again, sometimes I see passivity where he's just not applying any pressure. And that's a problem in itself. And then other times I'm seeing extreme aggression where I feel like he's forcing it. He's asking his forehand to create from positions that are difficult to create from, and his forehand isn't good enough to do it without missing a lot. Same goes for his backhand at times, although I think his backhand is not as much of a culprit. I see him coming in sometimes where it's like you didn't have the advantage to come in, and you're basically going to give yourself a very difficult volley because you didn't work the point enough. You didn't create the opening for you to kind of set up an approach shot. So I'm not seeing pressure, earn the short ball, attack. I'm seeing either attack from like a position where it's a force, or there's no attack whatsoever and there's no pressure. And it's on both spectrums, and it's kind of swings back and forth for me.
Yeah, and a good stat what shows how he's kind of lost his way, like you say, and it's difficult to really pinpoint his game style now, is from a very good tennis expert, goes by the name Gill on Twitter, and he put this one out saying Rune started his career 7-1 against top 5 opponents. He's now 0-10 since, so not won a match against top 5 opponents in his last 10.
That's crazy. That I didn't realize it got that bad for him.
Because when we saw Rune come on the scene, he was the big match player. Like, he's going to turn up. Paris Bercy, the crowd going against him. He's going to love this occasion. It's Novak Djokovic. I'm not scared. He was the young player who had no fear. He had no fear when Sinner had fear. And it's crazy how now I don't know. I think a little bit is this. And tell me what you guys think. I think seeing how Sinner and Alcaraz has progressed so quickly at such a incredible level, I think it's got in his head slightly, and he wants to be that guy in that group, and I think they've kind of left him in the dirt slightly, which has impacted his mind and the way he's now putting a bit too much pressure on himself potentially.
I think in general he's an ambitious guy, and that was very apparent right away, that he came on and he was I want to be number one guy. He was. And he was I want to beat Djokovic when I step on the court against him, even though I'm 19 years old. Like, he was that guy. I think he's gotten frustrated and impatient and panicky and looking for answers, definitely with his coaching team. And then you had a lot of instability in terms of who's giving him guidance. And I think that kind of marred his season last year. And now I think he's lost his way, and he's lost that like swashbuckler, almost fearless. I don't want to say he doesn't have fearlessness, because sometimes I think he doesn't have enough fear. Like, sometimes I've seen on this stretch these kind of low percentage, almost like kamikaze tennis from him. But I think it's a lack of clarity more than anything.
You could be right. I just felt like today, I think Kyrgios summed it up best. He said 2-0 down. It's one of the most lonely places probably on a tennis court. Especially, the one thing he missed out is you're playing probably one of the best players, if not the best player, to ever play it down the other end. I mean, where do you go from there? Like, he didn't seem to have any answers whatsoever. There was no plan B, C, anything. He had a good backhand cross court maybe once every 4 points, and then got lucky because Djokovic kept double faulting and making errors himself to gain his other points. There was nothing of the old Holger Rune that I saw today that made me think, wow, he could really challenge Djokovic if he played him maybe next week on the grass. No, I think it'd be exactly the same result. I don't know where he goes from here. I think grass maybe is not his surface. Maybe we'll get a better showing from him in the hard court swing.
Yeah,
Two things real quick.
Yep.
Last year against Alcaraz in the quarterfinals at Wimbledon, same thing. It wasn't that he lost. Remember, it was how he lost that was disappointing. It was straight sets. It was really, really clear how the match was going from the start. And it wasn't much of a match at all. And then the second thing I think statistically worth pointing out, his break rate is shockingly low. It is, and I'm going to pull it up right now. It is one of the lowest break percentages in the top 50. In fact, it's the second worst in the last 52 weeks. Only Talon Griekspoor is lower. So to think about a guy who's that athletic, who moves that well, the forehand and the backhand are like, there's no weak ground stroke there. To think that he is second worst among top 50 players at breaking serve is shocking.
Yeah, that's a really good stat. What highlights it, and I think on that we're going to leave Holger Rune alone because we've bullied him into the ground at this stage. But no, he'll be back. I think we're all confident on that. But today's showing not quite good enough, and something where he's got everything to be producing, I think, a more well-rounded performance. But he's young. Let's see what he can produce next time. Let's stick to Novak Djokovic. And next up, he's got Alex de Minaur, who won his match. De Minaur played very well. So he defeated Arthur Field 6-2, 6-4, 4-6, 6-3 with a dazzling display on the grass court tennis. That's what Wimbledon put out. He's a fast guy around the court. Djokovic said he's the fastest player on tour. Is he going to be that fast with an injury, though? Because on match point, he appeared to get injured. What are your thoughts on the severity of it, and if that's going to really hamper his chances?
I just didn't like the expression on his face. And I don't know. I mean, the trouble is, a lot of the time I will judge the severity of an injury based on how they're getting on post-injury. This happened on match point. I didn't get to see him play with the injury. And I don't even think it's clear what it is, because some people on social media were saying ankle. I see no ankle there. So I think it's back or hamstring, because if it were back or hamstring, it would make sense that we wouldn't exactly see it happen. But he did have that kind of violent, I guess, bend over on the forehand volley. But the way I described it is it looks like he saw a ghost, and he couldn't even celebrate winning the match, because I think it was very clear that his first thought was, okay, I just won this match, but did I just lose the next one?
Is it all falling into place for Novak Djokovic? That's what I want to think in this tournament. It's a bit crazy, isn't it? We had Hubie Hurkacz, who we spoke to before the tournament in person. We thought he was going to have a fantastic Wimbledon this year and make the final. Djokovic's knee was suspect. But Djokovic gradually has just won matches as he does in the early rounds. Poprin was a good test. Holger Rune, now looking at it, I mean, we looked at it through the perspective that Rune is a top player, and now we're looking at it that he's just an amateur grass court player, really. Alex de Minaur, a brilliant grass court player, and now he's injured as well. So, I mean, what? I mean, it's just like the stars are aligning for Djokovic. Sometimes this happens for Rafa. I think that it's Djokovic's turn to get a little bit of luck in the draw.
Yeah, but like Gill said, it's difficult to really know the extent of the injury or what even is injured. I've not seen anything in the press conference where he speaks in too much depth, but maybe I've not really seen the quotes or watched it myself. It's a tough one. I hope he's going to be okay. That's my feeling. Because if he is, I think he does give Djokovic a good test. I really do. I think he's a good grass court player. Did he? I don't think he beat Djokovic, did he?
Didn't he beat
played?
Djokovic at the ATP
United Cup?
ATP, United
Yeah.
Cup.
Oh, okay.
ATP Cup.
So he's not. The last time he played, no, I'm getting mixed up. He beat Nadal, didn't he? And then Nadal got revenge. But with Djokovic, I think he always struggles. We'll see what happens.
Didn't he?
Yeah. He struggled. He had never beaten Novak until the first week of the season. I think at that point, that's the Djokovic loss this year that everybody kind of forgot about, because nobody really thought it was a big deal. And then the Sinner loss really overshadowed that one. And then there were more tough defeats afterwards. But Demon got him at the start of the year for the first time, showcasing his more aggressive style. And I think I mean, I agree with JG that I'm not going to go into the match assuming that de Minaur is toast, just because it might have just felt scary. He has, how long does he have? I think he has 2 days.
Yeah, I think 2 days.
2 days as well.
Yeah. Okay. So extra day. That's huge. That's an extra, 24 hours obviously to recover. I've been I also think that he's been playing awesome. The depth on his ground strokes consistently are pretty crazy, and it stays low with his flat trajectory. So he's tough to attack. And what Djokovic has done to Popyrin and Rune is essentially just blitzed them offensively, and he's done so impressively. But it's taken a lot of stress off of his movement and off of his overall fitness, because he's been so offensive. I think that's going to be tough to do against de Minaur, just because he's he's doing such a good job of obviously covering the court as always, but also remaining unattackable, taking his own chances to attack. But I just think they'll get into a lot more longer, more physical rallies, and that's kind of would be the blueprint for Demon.
Yeah, I think the crowd will get a really good match. I think we're going to see some good moments. We're going to see some good highlights. It's going to be a real tennis battle where Djokovic is stretched. There's going to be a lot of running around, maybe a few tweeners here and there. It has that kind of feel, this match, if Minaur is fit. But fingers crossed, let's just assume he's going to be okay to play. Because, I mean, there has been a lot of injuries this tournament. I mean, there's been quite a few matches which haven't finished. And maybe we can go there next because, what's this one? So Vance is saying indoor conditions at Wimbledon is messing with the grass differently, more slippery than usual, more injuries, harder to move on and tougher for players to find their footing. Hopefully de Minaur is okay and he didn't just hurt himself so badly. It will affect his quarter-final. Another player who was injured today on the women's was Kalinskaya.
Yes, yeah.
And she ended up retiring in the second.
I'm bit devastated for her, to be honest. I thought that she had a real chance against Rybakina today. She's one of the only players on the tour when she comes up against Rybakina I actually give her a shot. Same with Paolini as well. She's another player who, when she plays Rybakina, gives her a really good go. It was unfortunate. I mean, would she have beaten her? We'll never know. But she was up in that first set. And then, I don't know, it just all sort of started to peel away, didn't it? Then we got the injury and then she retired. So I'm disappointed because I just think it's just one of those just we'll never know moments. And Rybakina's had a little bit of help on her side, the same as Djokovic seems to be getting a little bit of help with the tennis gods.
Paolini's had a bit of help as well with Madison Keys.
Paolini's had a bit of help as well. Well, maybe they'll meet again.
Dimitrov. The other ones are Dimitrov retiring against Medvedev. Such a bummer because that was the match that I was most looking forward to, not just yesterday as a singular day, but that was one of the matches of the tournament for me.
Yeah, agreed.
Because I just couldn't figure out which way it was going to go. And I was so intrigued. Yeah, I went with Medvedev, but it was like I was totally split mind on that. And the other one is with Hurkacz. Yeah, he was 2 points away from losing the match, and he had already saved a match point deep in that fourth set tiebreak. But we'll never know if he would have pulled that out and ended up winning the match.
I would have put him big favourite if he could have. I mean, he was on set point, the injury when it happened, going into a fifth. I fancied him with the momentum, but yeah, we'll never know, like you say. Certainly been a lot of injuries. We've seen a lot of 5-set matches though. And I guess we'll go to this one next because 5-star Fritz. Taylor Fritz comes back from 2 sets down to beat Zverev 4-6, 6-7, 6-4, 7-6, 6-3. And Taylor Fritz has done to Zverev what everyone's done to him in Grand Slams this year.
What's going on?
Yeah. He's gone out in every Grand Slam this year from winning 2 sets and losing 5.
You know, this one to me was the one that I don't think Zverev should be sweating. And I thought it was kind of a miracle that he was up 2-0 in the first place. You know what this reminded me of? This reminded me of Medvedev blowing the 2-love to Sinner at the Australian Open final, because it was so kind of surprising that he was up in that position in the first place to me, that it made the fact that Sinner came back easier to handle and take for Medvedev. In this case, Zverev came out, and you just knew right away from that knee hyperextension against Norrie, his movement was at 75% generously. Actually, I think he maybe started the match at 50% and maybe worked his way up to 75%, because I do think if you compare like the first set to the fifth set, Zverev actually started moving better, which I understand is an inverse of how the match went. But that's just the reality of it. I think Fritz realized what he was kind of contending with, and it made him tight, and he couldn't liberate himself to attack in big moments. And then Zverev, it's the exact opposite. I'm injured. I don't want to move. I'm going to hit out and be aggressive on my forehand. And I'm going to, strike the ball aggressively. And this is grass. And obviously he was serving great as well. So he was just kind of, Fritz played a really poor tiebreak in the second set. He jumped on him, but I even felt when Zverev was up 2-0, that if Fritz just got some confidence and he got rolling a little bit, it was going to be hard for Zverev to stop him with the state of Alex's movement.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm shocked, but I'm not shocked. I was shocked by the fact that Fritz came back from 2 sets to love down, because we rarely see Taylor Fritz show grit and determination to win big 5-set matches, and that was the one thing I thought we might see from him, but not from 2 sets down. I thought it was going to be Fritz in 5, and I thought that he might just outlast Zverev in a 5th set. It proved to be the case. Probably one of the only things I got right this whole Wimbledon.
Oh yeah, that was your prediction, right?
Yeah. That's literally probably the only prediction I have got right, other than Ostapenko winning in straight sets. So I think anyone could call that, though. Yeah, I mean, it was an insane performance by Taylor Fritz. I'm interested to hear what you have to say, Gill, on Fritz, because this Wimbledon, did you see him having a really good tournament based upon the draw, obviously with Djokovic being on that same side, but with the knowledge that he had done well in previous years? It only was Rafa, one injured Rafa, that had got him out there in the quarterfinals 2 years ago.
Yes and no. I had him losing to Zverev, and I've always thought that he matched up well with Zverev. They've played close matches always, and normally it's actually kind of, ironically, the movement that I think separates Zverev and Fritz. Other than that, kind of skill for skill, I think Taylor kind of hangs with him in a lot of ways and plays him tactically very well because he finds the forehand a lot. But there was a world when I was doing my bracket, I thought about Draper over Zverev. I thought about that. And if I picked that, I had a Musetti Fritz quarterfinal. And I was thinking, I kind of like the matchup for Musetti there. So I was thinking, oh man, am I picking Musetti to the Wimbledon semis? And I was like, I'm not doing that. Can't happen. Let's go with Zverev to not get upset by Draper, to beat Fritz, to beat Musetti in the quarterfinal. Fritz is like, he's almost like a Rublev in the sense I have trusted him recently to perform. It's just he normally doesn't punch too far up above his weight, and he doesn't come away with top 5 victories often or top 10 victories all that often at slams. But his grass resume, he's coming off the Eastbourne title. I think he was right in there, but when I made my power rankings, he wasn't in my top 10. What did you guys have for him?
Ben was a lot higher on Taylor Fritz than me. I was more of the feeling that Zverev would beat him. I predicted it even yesterday. So I think Ben's probably best to answer that, because he's more of a... With Fritz, I feel I can be a bit negative when it comes to the back end of a Grand Slam. I think there's times where I feel he should have produced better, and I find it a bit disappointing how he consistently loses to Djokovic in the manner he does. I feel he's better than what he shows in their matches. But Ben, how would you answer that? Because I know you like Fritz, don't you?
Yeah, I think he's one of these players that he's just got all of the tools. He's solid from both wings. He's got an amazing serve. He's good on pretty much every surface as well. I'm just surprised that he doesn't go deeper in slams and play better against the like of Djokovic. I think the last time he played Djokovic, he did look better, though. He's getting better, but it's a very slow progress against somebody. I think he has a mental block against Novak Djokovic that he needs to overcome. I think against the other players, he doesn't have that mental block. If he can avoid Djokovic, that's the best thing for him, because I think he beats nearly everybody else. It's crazy. Maybe Sinner and Alcaraz, they were in the same bracket as Djokovic, obviously, though.
It was a very good serving performance from both players, but there was a lot of winners as well today, and I've just got some stats here. 69 winners for Fritz to 23 unforced. Zverev, 55 winners to 33. So very positive winner to unforced error counts.
Yeah,
There wasn't a lot of defense in the match. Sometimes I think, and I agree, I'm not trying to go the other way and say it wasn't a really well-played match, because it was. I just think sometimes the winners to unforced error stats are interpreted as a one-to-one to quality, where I think it sometimes can tell you a lot about how the match was played without necessarily directing you to like how high quality the match was. And then, but obviously, I think the serve of Fritz is a little bit underlooked because the way he's serving right now is tops. It's elite stuff. It's not Zverev Hurkacz level, but it's probably just one shelf below that. And for a guy to be able to serve like that and hit so clean off of both wings, it's kind of a no-brainer. It's a pretty foolproof formula.
Yeah, exactly. And I think why we're speaking about winners and unforced errors, that tees up nicely to the next match to discuss, because the one player I love to speak about when we look at that is Jelena Ostapenko. I always find them very fascinating. She does not play anything safe. She doesn't like running too much and has not run much this tournament. This match, 29 winners to 26 unforced. I mean, not bad, really, for her. Usually, the unforced errors are... Well, it depends. I think if she wins, then the winners just about edge it or about the same.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, the weakness in Putinseva's game is her serve. And Ostapenko is just going to crack returns. It's hard, even if you're a great defensive player. Like, Putintseva is a really good defensive player. So is Kasatkina. It's hard to defend immediately after hitting a serve for anybody, just because you're right on top of the baseline. It's difficult to recover out of that motion. You're not centered on the court. Like, Ostapenko loves going down the line, and it's a further distance to run from wherever you served it, unless you're really hugging the center of the court. So there's so many reasons why aggressive returning, if you can pull it off, is super effective. And I think that's why Ostapenko is so good in a matchup like this. Not that she can't hang against some of the bigger servers, because, she tends to be able to do a lot of similar stuff. But I just see whenever it's Ostapenko against someone who's not really going to be able to hit second serves and kind of protect their second serve against her, I feel like that's usually trouble.
Is she second favourite for the title behind Rybakina?
Listen, I'm going to say something unpopular. I think Paulina is going to win Wimbledon. I like her section on the draw. I think she's got, like you say, if she is to play, because it would be Rybakina in the final, right? Potentially, if it was to work like that, she's got a good head-to-head against Rybakina and has beaten her a few times. She just looks fearless. I know she was on the edge of going out to Madison Keys, and probably if Keys didn't get injured, she probably would have. But she has been the real standout, improved play on the women's tour this year. I don't think anyone really saw it coming. This is where Gill was like, "Oh yeah, I had her in my top 5 coming into the year." It just puts us to shame. But I don't think anyone knew that was going to happen. She's been on the tour for a few years now. We know what you're going to get from her. She's got a lot of fight. She's a small package, but there's a lot of power in there, and very defensively compact, and really doesn't make too many mistakes. But you're not going to expect her to have enough power to beat a lot of the women on tour, especially when you've got the big Sabalenkas, your Rybakinas, and co. But yeah, I'm putting it out there. I would love to see her go and win. I think it's really possible.
Well, the thing that I find it's just so tough for her, and I mean, it's not her fault whatsoever, because she does the best with all of the tools that she has, but her coming to the net is a big no-no, because she can get passed down either flank and be lobbed like so easily. I mean, she's a baseline player through and through, and I think that's just going to be the thing that lets her down, unfortunately. I don't think she'll win Wimbledon, but I think she's done fantastically well this tournament. She's never won a match at Wimbledon before this year, and she's just got all the way through the draw and beaten some good players along the way. If she goes one more round, I think this is still a triumph, this whole tournament for her. So I'll be rooting for her anyway. But no one's talking about Svitolina at all this tournament, or Krejcikova. These two have been making their way through the draw and pretty unnoticed. Do either of them have a chance, Gill?
I'm loving Emma Navarro, I gotta say.
Yeah, I bet you are.
Yeah, I mean, I actually thought coming into the tournament that not that she was going to do amazing at Wimbledon, but I've been thinking, wow, people really don't realize how good she is right now. She was 11th in the race and playing well on all 3 surfaces. There's no hole in her game. She has there. It's not like an obvious firepower, but it's a little bit Pegula-like, where okay, it comes off of both wings. The backhand. I mean, I think she actually has a bigger, more pace generating forehand than Pegula, but the movement and the pace absorption and the defense on grass, combined with the fact that like whenever she has to do something like hit a drop shot, or you kind of look at like the cat and mouse game and all that, she seems so comfortable. I just think she checks a ridiculous number of boxes. And is there one thing that she does and it's really, really flashy? No. I think she's rock solid though. And she's kind of my sleeper pick at the moment, especially because if she goes up against Rybakina, I do think the way she's just been blunting power has been insane. I mean, Osaka looked helpless against Emma because she was kind of clobbering, attacking ground strokes and finding the ball coming back really quickly right back at her feet, and just kind of unable to react and absorb the quality. So on the bottom half, other than Rybakina, Rybakina's on the top half. So on the bottom half, I'm liking Navarro right now the most. And I do think that Svitolina on the top is being somewhat underlooked in the face of Rybakina's status as favorite. Svitolina averaged 80 miles per hour on her forehand today.
Interesting. I didn't actually catch this match, so I don't have much to say about it. Did you see any, Ben?
I didn't either. We were both at work, but she absolutely destroyed Jinyu Wang. I mean, I thought this was going to be a close match. I thought Wang in 3. Couldn't be more wrong with that prediction. Svitolina, she has one thing on a tennis court which you don't see from many of the others, which is like this real fight, this heart, this desire on a tennis court, which I wish we could see more from some of the other players. Like she really has a heart on her sleeve on a tennis court. Some of the other players a little bit too wishy-washy, don't really seem like they care if they win or they lose. Paolini does as well. But the one person I want to ask Gill about is, it's been a really rainy, horrible Wimbledon. Surely it'd be nice if we got some sun in the final. Do you not think? Lulu?
It would be wild, huh? I mean, it'd be some Emma Raducanu action pretty much.
Ben, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
I mean, I'm all for it. I think that is the story. I think of a damp Wimbledon is that the sun wins Wimbledon. We're on probably the wettest Wimbledon we've ever had.
Well, we'll see what your predictions are saying in a bit, but let's maybe get onto them and speak about tomorrow's action. Unless there's anything else you want to speak about which we've missed, but I'm sure you'll have an opportunity in a second anyway, because let's go through some predictions for tomorrow.
Right. I'll bring these up and we'll go on to the next day and have a look at who we have. And, oh my word, it just gets tastier and tastier, these matchups. Jannik Sinner versus Daniil Medvedev. Is it going to be 6 in a row for Jannik Sinner over Daniil Medvedev, Gill?
Yeah, I think it will. And I think we could see an uncompetitive match. I think Sinner could blow out Medvedev. Daniil has just been in this matchup. He's been in such an awkward spot. Last 2 times he's tried to up the aggression. In Australia, it worked for 2 sets. But he had to in Australia because he had no legs. In Miami, he decided to play that way, not because he had no legs, but because he thought he might be able to win like that. And it completely backfired because it took away his strengths as a player. He wasn't consistent on the forehand. He wasn't making returns in play with the close position. He was coming forward and losing points because his volleys aren't that good. So I think Medvedev is so confused about kind of what the best way to go about things is against Sinner, because when he hangs back, especially on grass, if he's going to hang back and play more defensive, Jannik's attacking repertoire, it gets right through Medvedev. There's now enough angle, enough drop shots, enough net rushing, enough serve and volley. Obviously, you have the power that's always been there. And this cocktail does not allow Medvedev to play his regular game where he's kind of grinding you down in term, like with a passive posture from the baseline. So I just don't know. Like Medvedev needs to find that balance between risk-taking, being imposing, but also maintaining his strengths as a player, which is consistency. I haven't seen him find that balance against Sinner, and I also haven't really seen him find that balance at Wimbledon this year.
Next up, we have the Queen's champion versus the former Wimbledon champion, Alcaraz, Tommy Paul. How do you see that one going?
It's a tough one. Like, I just think Tommy Paul has played twice against Alcaraz in Canada, like matches of his life, like just incredible. But then when it happens twice, you're thinking like, is it the match of his life, or is it just like he has the ability to do it? He does it. But I don't know. He had great forehand days in both of those matches, and that's always the key for me with Tommy. And I look for Alcaraz to throw a lot of variety at Tommy's forehand, including injections of pace, and try to see if he can create some errors going into that wing. But what Tommy, I think, will do is really try to attack Alcaraz's serve, which is what Tiafoe did really well, and Humbert did really well, and Dimitrov did it really well in Miami, and Jarry did it really well in Buenos Aires. It's like the best way to beat Alcaraz is almost just to take huge cuts off of his serve. Hard to do. Tommy's really good at that. That's what I think we'll see him do. I'm just leaning like Alcaraz in 4. I think it'll be a really entertaining match. I don't know if Tommy is going to be able to kind of recreate the Canada magic. I think there's going to be more game planning on Alcaraz's part for Paul, like a more tactical performance. And then Tommy, I just don't know where the repeatability is as far as the quality that he brought in both of those matches on his forehand side.
Nice. How do you see the women's ones going as well? We got Lulu Sun versus Vekic. I think you're holding your cards close to your chest on this one.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, Vekic, I can't really do a great job of evaluating Lulu Sun's game right now, but she's got pretty extreme grips, both wings. Kind of surprising to see her excel so much on the grass, just looking at that. And Vekic's ball stays very low. It's flat. It's penetrating. She's such a good redirector. She's got a grass court pedigree, so I'll go Vekic there. And I'm gonna go with Navarro. I think she has a little bit more elements, layers to her game on this surface that can serve her well. I think she serves better than Paolini. I think she volleys better than Paolini. There's better touch and feel. And I think she'll absorb a lot of Paolini's forehand firepower. And every single person who's played against Emma has so far in this tournament has been like, oh my God, I can't hit through her. Like, she's just a wall.
They did play, by the way, in Miami. I don't know if you guys remember. And Navarro won in 3 sets and bageled her in the 3rd.
Ooh. There you go. We've got that to look forward to then. Maybe another one.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
Yeah,
I think it should be good. Listen, I don't believe it's going to be straight sets. That's one thing I feel is going to happen.
I agree. 3.
Right. So let's try and move through these next ones as quick as we can. Just give some quick fire ones. That's all right. I know that we've got a couple of questions just from Gary on the Patreon who wanted to ask you. We'll just pose that at the end. We'll just go quick fire with Djokovic, de Minaur.
Yeah, Djokovic. I mean, the health concerns with de Minaur, Novak just potentially being able to almost, hit him off the court, make him play a lot of defense, just like he's been doing to everybody else. Musetti, Fritz, I'm going to go with Musetti. It's purely a matchup thing. I don't think Musetti is necessarily like a better grass court player than Fritz. In fact, he's probably not. But I think that Lorenzo's slice backhand is bothersome to Taylor. I think that his defense and how difficult he is to hit through is going to be bothersome for Taylor, because Fritz sometimes has some finishing issues. He doesn't come forward and transition to the net to finish. And I'm just seeing the way Musetti right now is extending points and defending and counterattacking. I think it's going to give Taylor fits. Get it?
Hey.
Yeah.
It's going to be in fits on the court. Hopefully, hopefully he doesn't go out. Otherwise, his girlfriend's not going to have any more posts to do around Wimbledon.
I enjoyed that
be
today.
Yeah. Apparently
Throwing a bit of Zverev shade. Yeah,
that's it. Right, last two. We got Ostapenko versus Krejcikova. Krejcikova, easy win, surely.
I think she can win. Give me Krejcikova in 3.
Ooh, I
She
like
does such a good job with her ball placement, Krejcikova. I could see Ostapenko having trouble finding high percentage balls to attack here, and ending up making a lot of errors. If there's one thing Krejcikova does well, it's just like put the ball in a safe spot on the court and kind of work the ball around. I don't think Ostapenko is going to like that very much.
Yeah, but does Krejcikova have a good enough second serve?
Yeah, no, that's a question. It's a question mark.
No. I
I'm
think
not
it's
sure
going
about
one
it
of
from my
two
memory.
ways. It's going to be an absolute blitz double breadstick for Ostapenko, or it's going to be a grueling 3 sets that Krejcikova wins.
I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily like that. I think it's going to go either one way, where Ostapenko is going to just get battered or Krejcikova is going to get battered. I just don't see the 3-set scenario.
Okay. And finally, Rybakina, Svitolina.
I do think Rybakina is going to win. I think she'll rush Svitolina, push her back, dictate a lot, which is Svitolina is finding a lot of offense these days in her game, but I do think it takes her some time to produce it, and that's kind of time that Rybakina just doesn't really offer up. And also just the serving difference, which Rybakina has against now everybody in the draw, right? Who serves even nearly as well as Rybakina? Am I missing? I mean, I don't know if Vekic, I don't know where you'd rank Vekic's serve, but not anywhere near Rybakina.
I mean, King Wing-Zhong's got a very fast serve, can produce some aces from time to time, but not on the grass at Wimbledon.
I thought Coco Gauff was probably up there, to be honest. Maybe like in the top 5 on the women's tour.
Yeah, I think Garcia. I think Garcia is there. I think Osaka is there, but
definitely
nobody left.
Sabalenka.
Yeah, Sabalenka's definitely there as well, but none of them are in the tournament anymore. Surely it's Rybakina's to lose. I mean, cheers for those predictions, Gill. Let us know in the comments section if you agree with Gill's predictions. And before we go, Gill, we just got a quick question from Gary in our Patreon, and he's asking just 2 quick questions. Just give us a quick answer. Is Novak going to get his 25th major at some point? That's what he wants to know.
Yeah, good. It's good. I think, yeah. I think right now, if you were to tell me, predict Novak's finishing number, his finishing tally, I might say 25. But I would give him that 25th somewhere. I think right now he's still one of like the most skillful player on tour when he's on. And he's not really physical, and there's some injury stuff that keeps popping up now, which is like, okay, you're 37. You're going to get hurt now probably sometimes. So that stuff is all a concern. But yeah, I mean, he's still, again, like if you actually look at what he's doing with the spot serving and the way he's volleying and the way he's redirecting and like all the skill stuff is still there. And I think that's enough for him to win another major.
Good answer. Gary will be happy with that. And he's a big Djokovic fan. And his last question is, do you see Emma Navarro becoming a consistent top 10 or even top 5 player?
Yeah, I think I do. Hopefully I'm not being a prisoner of the moment. By the way, guys.
Recency bias.
Yeah. Classic.
Really funny. I remember, I think it was before 2022, I was on with you guys and you're like, what are your thoughts on Badosa? And I was like, I don't really see it. And then she she got to 2 in the world, 3-4 months later. And I was like, I was wrong with Ben and JG. I can't believe it. But now I think I might have been right. I don't know.
Well, let's hope this doesn't happen with Navarro and it goes the other way around, where you're big on her and then she doesn't amount to something. But I think she's going to come good. I mean, she's already doing amazing things, all career high at the moment, and I think it's only going to get better and better. But thank you so much for taking this opportunity tonight to speak to us on our daily roundup. Hopefully you guys enjoyed at home. Please leave us some more questions in the comment section and we'll try and answer them on tomorrow's episode. And of course, if you haven't already, hit the like button and subscribe if you're new.
Also, make sure go and follow Gill Gross on YouTube and watch all of his content, because I'm sure you already do already.
Always
Any
enjoyed
closing
being
remarks?
on.
What's that? Go on.
What'd you say?
Any closing remarks, Gill?
Oh, I always enjoy being on. Hopefully we get a sunny conclusion to the fortnight. Maybe we're not hopeful over there. Stay
final
cool.
might be.
I know that you guys have had some issues with the heat recently over in London, so stay cool out there, and hopefully we chat again soon.
Okay, thanks, and we'll see you very soon.